remember 3 separate times the rebels got caught by our own Pentagon and by the UN and others. We have the news articles. I'm going to be covering them. Staging chemical attacks. So even by Friday, the media wasn't saying Assad did it for sure, and the Secretary of Defense Mattis was saying we don't have evidence that Assad or the Russians did this. And then at 8 o'clock at night, the cruise missiles start firing from the ships. The bombs start getting dropped from the B-1 Aardvark bombers. And then if you go back, you remember all the tweets that Trump put out over and over and over and over and over and over again about how the West created the destabilization, brought in al-Qaeda, changed the name to ISIS, that Hillary and Obama founded it, that we weren't going to take Assad out, that we're just going to beat ISIS, and that we were going to leave the sovereign nation. And now Trump does a 180 and adopts the policy. Here's Reuters. Hillary Clinton calls for U.S. to bomb Syrian airfields, says Trump's weak last year. Here's Elizabeth Warren Friday praising Trump, saying we must take action. And I've got all these other Democrats. You know, here was NBC News on Friday afternoon. Trump announces strikes on Syria following suspected chemical weapons attack by Assad forces. But by an hour later, it was a chemical attack. And by Friday night, it was conspiracy theorists Tucker Carlson, Laura Ingraham, and Alex Jones are traitors. Why they claim that the rebels are behind the chemical attack. No, the former head of British Special Forces has gone public. I have that article here. And he said that Assad had no motive and was winning. And the rebels have a history of staging chemical attacks. See, I have something called a pesky memory. And I was covering last week and Friday and right through yesterday the RT article, and it's in my stack from yesterday. I really want to cover that when we come back. So if you can't find it, Drudge had it in a Drudge search as his top story yesterday. And it was so heartening to go to Drudge and see where the Russians on the 18th said they're going to stage a chemical attack. Here's their history of doing it. Here's the motive. We wouldn't do this. Assad wouldn't do this. Assad gave up his chemicals. We oversaw it. Assad's never used it. Those are the facts. They go, oh, you're going with Russia propaganda. No. I remember the UN. I remember the Pentagon. I remember Senator Paul and Senator Cruz 5 years ago and Colonel Schaefer exposing that 95% of the rebels were al-Qaeda/ISIS and that they were staging the chemical attacks because they want to be movie stars. And for Islamicists, staging attacks, suicide bombings, you name it, is something that they are incredibly proud of. Here we are, ladies and gentlemen. April 15th, 2018. We're going to be live here for the next 2 hours as we are every Sunday. But what a momentous and dangerous Sunday. I have the video clips from the UN Security Council emergency meeting today and yesterday. Nikki Haley saying we're preparing to remove Assad. We're preparing more airstrikes. We're preparing more sanctions on Russia. That's why I got so upset in that emergency broadcast we did Friday night, because Trump is completely flip-flopping from his earlier position on Syria. He knows ISIS founded the modern movements there, that ISIS comes out of al-Qaeda, that the Clintons and the globalists funded this to destabilize the Middle East. Trump has firmly stood against this, as have the good elements of our Pentagon and government. And we know the rebels have been caught not once, not twice, but 3 times. Cy Hirsch has reported it. The UN has confirmed it. Our own military has confirmed it. The rebels 3 times staged chemical attacks. And then when there was a supposed chemical attack last year and Trump attacked that airbase, British defense ministers, British ambassadors all came out and said, because they're really experts on Syria with their long history there, they said, this will embolden the rebels to stage more chemical attacks to then take down Assad. So the West funded the takedown of a sovereign nation, Syria, part of the Arab Spring, that Hillary and others quarterbacked. They got their butts kicked by the Russians. The U.S. then helped for a while. And now, right after Trump announces we're going to pull out, and the Russians announce they're going to pull out, can't let peace break out, there's a chemical attack. But before it can even be proven that it happened, we're told it's the Russians. And then 100-plus cruise missiles get fired at targets inside Syria. And now look at whose side we're on. Hillary Clinton, Reuters, calls for U.S. to bomb Syrian airfields. Elizabeth Warren on Friday, chemical attacks in Syria, horrifying, and a clear violation of international law. The world must hold Assad accountable for his violence against the Syrian people, and the U.S. should be part of a planned, coordinated, multinational effort. And it goes on from there with all the other Democrats. And I did videos on Friday and Saturday going, shame on Democrats supporting war. And the Democrats on Twitter and YouTube are so whacked out, they go, oh, no, it's Trump that's for war, not us, the Democrats that are against it. No, it's the Democrats foaming at the mouth saying Trump's a Russia and trying to overturn our government that have basically bushwhacked him and bullied him and shanghaied us into this dangerous potential World War III scenario. Thank God the Russians and others stood down. But they just take bombs raining down on them while Western-backed rebels run around suicide bombing. They come in and kick their butts. Trump takes credit, and our military credit, gives Russia no credit when they did 90+% of the fighting. Those are facts. I'm loyal to truth. I like the old Donald Trump. I've got a whole stack of news here. Daily Caller's done a good boil down. We have as well of when Trump was anti-war in Syria just a few years ago. And I thought that we'd turn the corner Friday when I went home to see my family, because Mattis had come out, the Secretary of Defense, and said, we don't have any evidence that Assad did this. We've got to look at this more. And then the attack came. Well, clearly Mattis got overruled. So it's a very, very, very sad day. But I agree with the old Trump, not the new Trump. Because you see, if you look at these 7 countries that are being overturned, we're going to play a Wesley Clark clip coming up here after the break. Former head of NATO, former top U.S. general. They had a plan at the Pentagon to strike these countries and have a whole Arab Spring and destabilize the entire Middle East going back a decade ago. And Obama just picked up where George Bush left off. Not to put good people in, but to put the worst jihadis in to destabilize the entire area. But I'll tell you, I'm in good company with Tucker Carlson. I'm in good company with Laura Ingraham and others that have morals, that remember what Trump said, that remember what the military said, that remember how our own military said, we don't want to topple Assad. They're putting something far worse in. This is immoral. We don't want to be Al-Qaeda and ISIS's Air Force. So it's a very, 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 very sad day to see this. And the questions are, is Trump compromised by the raid on Michael Cohen, his lawyer's office? We know there's no Russian collusion. That's all Hillary. But did they find something? Perjury about payoffs with women, whatever. It's process. It's not ever about Russia. It's about a dragnet to find something. And to find somebody that perjures themselves so you get a canary that sings and then the dominoes start falling. So folks better think about this long and hard, because this is the neocon policy. It's Hillary's policy. It's John McCain's policy. It's the Council on Foreign Relations policy. It's the EU policy. It's the globalist policy to overthrow Syria and all those other countries and then get rid of those buffer zone nations that were Christian nations. Syria was Christian. What, 1,200 years ago? Captured, in the 3rd century of Islam. And so they've been crypto-Christians, a lot of them. And they've been a buffer into Turkey and Europe. Now that buffer zone is falling, ladies and gentlemen, in a big way. Think about that. So has Trump been compromised? Or why is he saying all this is wrong and bad and now changing it? And then a lot of you said, not most of you, but a large minority said, Jones, settle down. These are precision strikes. They're not going to take out Assad. Well, now Nikki Haley's come out. And I got the video coming up as well. A lot of videos next segment. And she's come out and vowed. Trump vows to sanction more airstrikes against Syria if there's more chemical attacks. Well, the rebels now are really going to do it. That's how they take out who's been beating them. The time for talk ended last night, Haley told an emergency meeting of the Security Council on Russia. We're prepared to sustain the pressure if the Syrian regime is foolish enough to test our will. And then, boom, the rebels they've trained, the globalists have trained, carried out their chemical attack. She said she spoke to President Trump this morning. She said if the Syrian regime uses this poisonous gas again, the United States is locked and loaded. Well, you know the globalists want to have Syrian regime changed, and so magically the rebels have been caught before. They're going to do it again. Right as the Russians were pulling out, right as peace broke out, right as Al-Qaeda got its butt kicked. Can't allow that. Can't allow ISIS to have their butt kicked, so...
If you are receiving this transmission, you are the resistance.
Michael ZX is back. And just like we're game-changing when it comes to politics, when it comes to the economy, we're game-changing on supplements. I want to bring you products from the best research out there, from the best labs, the best laboratories, the best scientists that really change lives. Because I want you to get a great effect. I want you to have a great life, be healthy. I want you to see the results so you reorder it and tell your friends and family about it. Let me tell you, fungus is a scourge, mold's a scourge, and you can't battle it with this in your sinus or other areas, but in your gut, the main area you can. Myco ZX, available exclusively. Been out for over 6 months at InfoWarsLife.com or by calling toll-free 888-253-3139. Ladies and gentlemen, I only bring you products I use myself. I only bring you products that have been proven to have dynamite effects. Myco ZX is back in stock right now at InfoWarsLife.com. Secure yours today.